Welcome into another edition of Keeping Up with Cherokee County Athletics. We are here with Coach Kelly. And Coach, last week, we talked to you and you had a game against Fultondale. You knew that Fultondale is a much improved team from the last few years and what Fultondale we had seen in the past few years. They had improved a lot, had a big win over Etowah earlier this year. You guys handled business, though. Take us back to last Friday night and how that all transpired.
Yeah, they were really physical with us. They got after us from an offensive standpoint. They attacked us. I thought they did a great job of tackling our guys in space. A lot of times, Jacob and Keyshawn, when they get past the first level, they got the chance to take it to the house. But I feel like Fultondale's linebacker core and their safeties did a good job of kind of minimizing. We were still gaining yards, but minimizing the big play, and making us have to long drive them to withstand, scoring with them. But our defense, hats off of them. They did a great job of just kind of forcing Fultondale into being one-dimensional, forcing them to pretty much throw it. I feel like they threw it a lot against us the other night, and our secondary guys did a good job. I think we had 2 picks and 1 fumble, and but yeah, Fultondale, much improved team. I really feel like if they get on a roll, they could do some things in the playoffs. They're a tough matchup for anybody just because of how each week I feel like they improve on film from week to week to week. They're just improving, even though the record doesn't show it. I feel like every week they improve in how they play and the demeanor. We couldn't get them jump off sides. They were disciplined. Not a lot of penalties in the game. And, so it was good to come out with a win against a team that's in the top tier of our playoff contention, hunt in the region. They're sitting, they really needed to win the other night. They just had a chance to be region champs if they would have upset us, because they only had 1 loss to Aniana. And, so now it kind of sets us up with that win. So we're playing for region championship Friday night in Etowah. We got 2 games left, got to win at least 1 to lock it up. And so, this week hopefully we can go ahead and do that this Friday.
You just mentioned Etowah. Etowah seems to be another team that's improved from week to week. They kind of hit a lull, and then they got a new coach, Blake Bond, come in, state championship winning baseball coach that's real familiar with the whole community out there. It kind of stabilized them. Right. And each week you've seen them get a little bit better. What have you seen from them? I know outstanding quarterback Jamison Sissom, but what else?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of them early on. I saw the Springville game. I think it was on TV. And then we saw a little bit of Fultondale, that game, getting ready for Fultondale. And, you can definitely see that there's different guys that have been playing. Some guys that played early on maybe – for whatever reason, they're going in a different direction, giving other players shots. They got some young guys playing now. But, when you go through an adverse situation like they dealt with in the first couple of weeks, athleticism is not a problem for Etowah. It's about, just being consistent and executing and playing their brand of ball. And they're a team that, like you said, has gotten better and better. They beat Hanceville really good last week, and the game doesn't show it on the overall box score, but they gave Aniana all they wanted for about 3 quarters until it kind of, culminated in the end on just some bad plays and giving up big plays, and 24 being 24, and he got loose, and so that game was a whole lot closer. They really didn't stop Aniana. Aniana didn't stop Etowah for the most part of the night. And so anyway, they're a team that definitely has our full attention, got our focus, a lot on the line for us. And so, we want to go over there and definitely try to do a great job of minimizing their big plays because, like you said, their quarterback, they got receivers, skilled guys everywhere that can big play you to death.
Region championships are great and all. but I know that's not your goal. Your goal is that blue map, and I think it's pretty apparent when you had it in your grasp last year. You're so close to it, but how important is it to lock this region up? Maybe you can get some guys to rest on that last game when you know you've got the region championship and the number 1 seed sewed up, but to have some guys maybe get some playing time that you can relax and breathe a little bit and then get dialed in for that all-important playoff run.
We just really want to be playing our best ball at the right time. And, we had an injury last week with one of our safeties, defensive starters, who's done a great job, had a lot of turnovers for us and just been a tremendously good player. And so he fractured his collarbone. So hopefully, he's actually in surgery right now. And so that was a tough loss. But now we've got to get other guys some playing time and get the next guy up ready. And so we've been kind of fortunate enough to be able to play a lot of guys already. And so that experience coming in to Friday night's game where, we anticipate them throwing it a good bit, it's going to be a tough test for that next guy up just because of it's not as hard to throw a new guy in the secondary if they're trying to run it down your throats.
That's right.
But if they're going to chunk it all over the yard,
right.
and you've got to be locked in at a bunch of different coverages and a bunch of different formations and some motions and shifts and stuff that Etowah does, I mean, it's definitely a test. And so I think games like this and the next couple will have us peaking at the right time, and then locking up the overall 1 seed and then setting the brackets and seeing kind of the roads to get back to where we were last year. But definitely not the guys are not satisfied. They don't. You wouldn't get that by how we lift, by how we practice. But they do a good job of just taking it each week by week. And so with the kind of rivalry that Etowah, not necessarily in high school, but the kids have played a lot of ball against each other growing up.
Yeah.
So they're very familiar with each other, and should be a great environment Friday night.
Coach, when you face a quarterback like a Jamison Sism that can beat you with his legs or his arms, and like you said, Etowah has talent. It's not the problem. It's just getting the talent to be cohesive consistently. Talk about the pressures from a defensive side of the standpoint where you got to watch your guy. You can't rush uphill too much because he's going to take off. They got some guys that can get open downfield. Talk about the pressures of that and what it puts on the defense.
It's just it forces you to be extremely disciplined. And, if you're stunting, you've got to make sure that everybody's in the right gap. Nobody gets out of gap, because if you go 2 in 1 gap or something and you leave a hole with a guy that's as athletic as there too, he's going to find it. He's going to find it. He's got good vision. He's got good scrambling ability. He's a little bit lighter than the guy they had last year, because getting to the quarterback last year in that game wasn't the problem. It was getting his rear end on the ground. I mean, one time I think Tay was spinning to kind of suplex him on his back, and he chunks it backwards and lands right in their running back's hands. He takes it down the sideline. So you just got to be extremely disciplined. Know your gaps. Know what the calls are. Make sure you're doing your job. You definitely don't want to get too far past him and let him step up in the pocket with running lanes in front of him. So we kind of use the term keeping them bottled up. Keep him bottled up. And then he's got a live arm. So protecting on the back end, keeping everything in front, and just playing our brand. Not necessarily just getting pressure, but doing stuff with pressure, forcing bad throws, forcing early throws, forcing long yard situations, and then getting off the field on 3rd down is going to be key for us.
One other thing, I know I don't want to talk your head off. We could sit here and talk shop all day, but let's talk about your offense and the things you do and your quarterback's progressions and how you run the ball. The things you do offensively travels really well. You take care of the football, you run it really, really well, and you pass it efficiently. Talk about your quarterbacks and how he's come along, and also your running game, how you can control the tempo of the game.
Yeah, so early on, we were averaging maybe, no joke, single-digit number of passes.
Yep.
Between 1 and 5. I mean, I think maybe the Piedmont game, it was 2. Alexandria, I don't even know if we threw a pass. But early on, bringing in a new guy, and Carson Tittle, it was just he was doing such a good job just getting us lined up, making the right calls, mixing up himself in the run game, that we didn't really have to work on it. And then now that we've gotten progressively on down the season, he's done a good job of increasing those numbers in the passing game, but being efficient. And, the other night I felt like third down was a good down for us throwing, because we converted a couple of times on third down just to keep the offense out there in a little bit of the third long situations, which is, when we get back to up in third and long, that's not necessarily that we can't convert, but that's not where we want to be. We want to be, 3 and 4 or 5 yards every play, setting up third and fourth short yardage situations. And so we're still definitely going to be who we are. We're going to use our big guys up front. We're trying to make it simple for those guys, let them execute and get after the front sevens on defense and challenge their front seven as much as they're going to try to challenge us and dominating the lines of scrimmage, and kind of just dictating the outcome of the game by doing those things. And so we definitely look to do that Friday night and winning the line of scrimmage.
Those things travel.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is a road game for you, but those things definitely travel for you, Coach. Coach, we're going to shut this version of this edition of Keeping Up with Cherokee County Athletics down. We'll be back each and every week to bring you more updates from Cherokee County Athletics throughout the season. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right, welcome back into another edition of Keeping Up with Cherokee County Athletics, and I'm here with two, I don't know if I should say happy coaches, probably maybe nervous. What is the mindset right now, guys? Because here's why. Here's the scenario. Whether we like it or not, area tournament's here. Then you guys get to host that area tournament, correct? And you also get a bye in that area tournament, correct?
Yeah.
So let's start off with that, Coach. Just either one of you guys can take this, but how important is it for your girls to host this tournament, number one, and also get a bye in it to watch everyone else play, and then you guys get to come in and do what you're supposed to do?
Right. Well, in our current situation, especially this season, there's only 3 teams in our area. So being able to host it, obviously you get the home court advantage, you get the fans, that kind of thing. But it also means that we automatically get a bid to regionals because we get the bye in the first round. So being able to watch Asheville and Etowah, we've seen them because we played them both home and home. But you never know at area. There's upsets and all that kind of stuff. So being able to see them play and see if they've changed anything, before we face them again, that's a big advantage.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big advantage. Like Coach said, another thing that I feel like is an advantage being at home is not having a bus ride to somewhere or a car ride or however you get there. I feel like a lot of times when you're at home, you can kind of sit down and you can focus, where a lot of times when you're on the bus, you got some who are sleeping, some who are trying to do homework, you've got some who are wanting to dance. Everybody's kind of doing different things, and different coaches have different strategies as for how they ride to a game. But I like being at home and being able to just relax, and you've got your facilities there if you need them, you got whatever, it's just everything's so much more convenient, but you don't have that ride where you can really think and sometimes end up overthinking. At home you can just go out and say, hey, this is our court, let's defend it, let's go, and you're kind of there.
Now, you guys are in a unique situation, and Coach just mentioned it, you guys are already going to regionals, and that's great. I know that's the end game, that's the next step to where you ultimately want to go. But, man, how important would it be for these young ladies to defend their home court and win this area tournament?
Well, since we won the area last year for the first time since 2005, I believe, being able to do it back-to-back would be huge for our program, for self-confidence, for, all, the kind of direction that we're trying to get it to go. But, again, not looking past tomorrow, but if you do look down the road and you see, who are you going to face in what round at regionals and so on, it's a big advantage, again, to win tomorrow night and to be the number 1 seed from our area going into regionals, as far as who you get to play and the path, that it takes to get you to state. So I would say it's extremely important.
I think another part of that, too, is we didn't do as well as we would have liked to in the county tournament. We were able to beat Sandrock that first time, which is a big accomplishment for us because we haven't done that in a while. But we had a little bit to build on there, and then we just won our tournament. And if we're able to win the area tournament, that'll be 3 really good showings in a row. And if you go back further than that, we've had some really good showings in tournaments this year. But I feel like the success we had at the county tournament, and then the success this past weekend, and then if we can win another tournament tomorrow, that's going to look like, hey, tournament win, you know, and that kind of stuff gets addictive. You know, that's the kind of things that you can really hook the girls on, where if they're kind of lukewarm competitively, you can go, hey, we've got a streak.
That's right.
You know, we got a streak we need to keep. And, you know, you play each point not with the streak in mind, but at the end, if you've extended that streak, you know, that's that little bit of extra motivation going into the next one, which would be obviously be state after, you know, if we're able to do that at regionals.
Something that you guys have done all year, and the Bible speaks of it, iron sharpening iron. You guys haven't shied away from competition. The reason you played that competition is for moments like what we're about to see. Talk about that a little bit and how that's prepared you guys for what's ahead.
Well, that was my goal, and I've said this several times on the show. You know, when I literally sat down last year to decide, all right, who am I going to send emails to, who am I going to reach out to, I pulled all the results from regionals last year and saw who was there, who's within driving distance, who's going to be at what tournament, and that's basically
awesome.
how I decided who we're going to play. And obviously, there's some other teams thrown in there, but that was my goal, is to make sure that by the time we make it to regionals, you know, God willing that happens, by the time we make it there, we're not going to be surprised, because we're going to have seen top hitters, we're going to have seen top defenses, we're going to have seen top servers, all that kind of stuff, because I wanted them to be 110% prepared when they walked in the VBC.
That is awesome.
Another part of that too, the important part of that phrase is that iron sharpens iron. Iron cuts butter. Mm-hmm. If we were butter trying to play iron, we're in trouble.
You got
but
that right.
We've developed our players to a point, and the kids have worked hard enough and bought in enough that they've been able to become iron, so the iron can sharpen iron instead of us going getting slaughtered at those places, because nobody wants to schedule that.
That's right.
You know, and with us, if we were a 2-19 kind of team, and we try to play those teams, then we're going to be 0-21 instead of 2-19.
You got that right.
But the fact that the program has come to where it is and has developed like it has, we literally are going and getting sharper, and hopefully sharpening up the opponents that we're playing. You know, because we want them to keep scheduling us, knowing, hey, it's not just a beatdown. We're gonna have to work to beat that Cherokee County team.
Guys, you keep playing like you are, you're going to have trouble scheduling people.
Well, that's a good problem to have on that side.
I've seen that happen before. You had two young ladies, speaking of some of this iron, that had crossed over some milestones recently. Can you guys talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago maybe, Ellison, our libero, she passed 1,000 career digs, which, again, she's a sophomore. That's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And so Saturday during our tournament, I noticed when I put the stats in the computer yesterday, Macy had passed 2,000 during the middle of the tournament.
It's incredible.
And again, she's a sophomore, so, you know, it's kind of unheard of, but it speaks volumes about who they are.
We're talking about underclassmen here,
Yeah.
hitting career milestones like that's unbelievable. That's a testament to what you guys have been doing. You guys have put these young ladies in the fire, so to speak, early. But not only that, it's not like they're just growing pains. No, they're performing and dominating.
Yeah, when we were, and when we were at Guntersville, we played, I think one of the years we were like 51-6, so that's 57 matches, and we're not anywhere near that many matches. Do you know what our record is right now?
We're 30-16.
Okay, so 46 matches. So we played 46 matches this year, and probably they're about the same last year, maybe. So we don't play as many as some teams do. Some of those teams that go get in those big tournaments week in and week out, they end up playing so many matches. It's easier for their stats to get higher, but for the number of matches that we've played, and for Macy to just be a sophomore and Ellison to just be a sophomore,
incredible.
That's pretty crazy to have gotten there. But As a setter, pointing out with Macy, as she pointed out in our group text yesterday when we congratulated her on it, you got to have passes and you got to have hitters putting balls away. So she deflected that from, hey, it's not me. I couldn't have done it without these passes. I couldn't have done it without these hitters. And Ellison's the same way. She's like, hey, if my block's not there, there's no way I can cover all this. They're doing their job funneling things toward me, and that allowed me to reach what I've been able to reach. And honestly, talking to them and just listening to them talk, they're not the least bit concerned about individual goals.
Gotcha.
You can pat them on the back and they'll go, hey, thanks. All right, what time's practice? What we're about to do next, that kind of thing. So I think that speaks volumes as to why they're where they are. And then you've got Nevaeh the same way with the number of kills that she's got. It's just a lot
she's
of
close to 1,000 herself.
Yeah, it's just a lot of good stuff going on, and they are very quick to give everybody else credit as opposed to taking it for themselves.
Guys, what do we have to get done? What is your number one focus heading into this area tournament? There's always something that coaches can. You guys are around these ladies all the time. You know their feelings. You know their mindsets. What is the number one focus heading into this area tournament?
To me, I think there's really two things. There are a few things that we're wanting to shore up defensively, some things that we're working on, things that are going to make us more consistent defensively, ways that we can shrink the court for the opposing teams. 6 kids trying to cover all that space with 2 of them blocking, that's a whole lot that leaves a whole lot to cover. And so we've kind of looked at where people are trying to exploit us, and we're trying to make sure that we can eliminate as many of those. You may end up with one spot where your defense is a little softer, and if you've just got one and you're working hard to fix that, that's something you can deal with. But if you got holes everywhere, you can't do anything with that. So we're trying our best to shore those things up. And another thing we're trying to do is to get our girls to relax, as far as knowing what our expectations are, knowing what our desires are. We want to go to regionals. We want to win regionals. We want to go to state. We want to win state. That's putting a whole lot of pressure on 15, 16-year-old kids.
That's right.
And they don't want to disappoint us. So I think sometimes they get so worked up trying to please us that they lose sight of the fact that, hey, this is a game and this is fun. And so if we can get them to that point where they're still playing as hard, but they're relaxed, going, hey, this is what I love to do. I'm not worried about, I don't have to worry about any of that other stuff.
That's right.
If I get where I'm supposed to be and I do what I'm supposed to do, we're going to go where we're supposed to go.
Huge.
So I think that's the biggest focus is for, I know the defensive part is something that we've both talked about, but my thing is the mentality side of it, of being more relaxed with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that because he pretty much covered it all. But yeah, it's always the mental part of the game. We talk about that all the time, and then believing in themselves. It's not enough for us just to believe in them, and they know we do, but making sure that they believe that
Absolutely.
they can get to where they want to go.
All right, guys. When is the game? Tickets? Anything? Any information we need to tell the fans? It's Wednesday, correct?
Correct. The game is tomorrow night. Asheville and Etowah will play at 4:00, and then we will play the winner immediately following.
Okay.
Tickets are available on GoFan. The AHSAA has put that out there, and then you can also pay cash at the gate.
Everything's 3 out of 5. So, so it's not going to be a quick evening, no matter what. Love to have everybody out. And I'm not going to be selfish and just say Cherokee County fans. Hopefully Etowah will travel well. Asheville will travel well. When you host a tournament of any sort, you always want it to be big,
Yes.
crowded, wild, loud,
That's
fun.
right.
So hopefully both those teams will travel well, and we'll all be able to get in there and just battle it out on the court and have a great time, put out a good product, and may the best team win.
One more thing, the kids did tell me that they wanted it to be a whiteout. So fans, if y'all show up in your white.
And
That makes
last thing, JV finished up with an 18-9 record this year. 19-8. I'm not dyslexic. I just messed that up. But anyway, they had I shorted them a win. But anyway, they had a great season. And when you're talking about an iron sharpening iron, every day at practice, it's us against them against us, and they fight like crazy every day. So I feel like they've done a big part in helping us.
That's real good, actually. That speaks volume for the future, considering you got sophomores doing what they're doing on this team already, and then that's coming right in behind them.
Yep.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of Keeping Up with Cherokee County Athletics. We'll be back here each and every week, and Coach, as long as you guys play, if we go all the way to Birmingham, we're going to come in each and every Tuesday and cover you guys.
Sounds great. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.